man, we're either the kind of fast band on a doom show or we're that stoner band on like a death metal show. So we're always kind of the black sheep of wherever we end up, and it's been harder for booking things, but I take that challenge on. I'm cool with that.
Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in the guys from Samnuri, Justin and Phil. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Thank you much.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I'm so excited for you guys. We were saying offline for a second that the New Yorker in me, born and bred, I get a swell of pride whenever a band kind of breaks out and still makes it. Because, there was always it's like LA. There's always a period of bands that move to New York because they think being from New York is cool. And not everybody is from, New York is the place where everybody comes to go to become somebody, but like not you guys. You guys have been doing this for a long time. I'm a long-time fan, seeing you all around the city. Vitus was the last time, and again, I moved out in 2020, and I'm in the Bay Area now. But we're on the eve, basically, of your new album, Desiderium, coming out from Monarch Heavy. And so many fun things to unpack. But let's just dial it back for 1 second, and I love to do the superhero origin. So, what's like page one of the origin story of this band look like?
Well, I think, me personally, I play drums in so many bands, and it's hard to steer the ship from behind the drum kit. You want more out of the band. You want more, more touring, more songwriting, more, you want more. And the only way to really control that that I had seen was like, maybe write more, maybe put more guitar stuff out. And I think I started playing, and then immediately was like, I really want to see where we can go with this. And had seen Phil play out a bunch and seen his bands, and had really thought highly of, how he approached the drums and songwriting and how musical his drum parts were. And, was the first person I thought of. And, we happened to be in the same rehearsal complex, and we were taking a break, both smoking a joint. I was like, hey man, you want to try some of these ideas I got? And it kind of, I think that's where it really started from.
Yeah, I like the riffs a lot. I was pretty amazed that he had that many good guitar riffs, and I was like, all right, this is cool. Let's give it a shot. And yeah, songs started happening pretty early. He had some structures done, and the songs came together quick. And then we realized we had to get a bassist, as always. Not as always. And then Drew Mack entered the picture, and yeah, we just had a good solid three-piece. It was cool to be in a trio for a while, although we've changed that recently and added an additional guitarist. So.
And that was kind of always by design. We always talked about, like, I don't want to be the main guitar player. I want to play guitar, but I would love to hear guitar harmonies and have two guitars bouncing off. And it was just so hard to keep the three of us, or scheduling things are always tough, especially in New York, because everybody's always in a million other bands. And it really, it took the entire life of the band until a month or two ago to finally get a fourth member, another guitar player, which is really, I think, it mattered a lot after we got this record under our belt. Like, man, if we're gonna do these songs justice, I think we got to have another member. More vocals, more guitar, just more.
Awesome. See, I've only seen the band as a trio, so now I'm really excited to catch you guys live again. And I wanted to say it's really cool because you guys are not a one-dimensional band. It's really inspiring to hear you guys kind of branch out on this new record and cover a little more different ground. And I think it also shows in the bands you go play with. So you can play with Stoner Doom bands, or you're going to go do shows with Zao. I mean, like, that's nuts to me that you can cover so much ground. Is that also by design, or is that just kind of came up organically as you guys continue to grow as writers?
Me personally, I never thought of, when we started, there was no box that we were going to put ourselves in, or like, hey, we're here to write this kind of song, or, it's just like every song was a new opportunity. So I think we're fans of so many genres. To me, it's kind of weird to just be like, we only play this. I think bands who do that do it well, and that's cool, but it was never a design to be broad or to be one's particular thing ever. It was almost like, but that has been, I think, a good thing that I've really liked about our music and every record. But it's also been, it's a blessing and a curse kind of a thing of, man, we're either the kind of fast band on a doom show, or we're that stoner band on like a death metal show. So we're always kind of the black sheep of wherever we end up, and it's been harder for booking things, but I take that challenge on. I'm cool with that.
I was gonna say though, the music is heavy enough that I feel like you could pair with anybody, and I think that's important. Not that every band has to be like brutally heavy, but like I really appreciate this record has like an ebb and a flow, and there's very heavy songs and there's lighter parts. There's really I think the vocals have stepped up tremendously than before. So I think it's a real, I think it's going to surprise people. And I will tell you that my peer group, who all listen to the variety of metal, were pleasantly surprised that Monarch Heavy signed you, because they don't have one format of a type of band they sign, but they don't have a lot of bands that I say that are like sort of you guys line up with. Although they do have Crowbar and they do have High on Fire and Kirk Winstein solo, which is amazing. But like after that, it's like Enterprise Earth and also these other bands that don't sound like each other. So Within the Ruins. So I think it's really cool that they took a flyer on you. And I wanted to ask about, I think a lot of people are curious, what did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, we knew we had to step things up all around, and that was a big thing for us, is to keep growing our social media, still be authentic with it, not beat it to death, and not be ourselves. It's very important that we portray ourselves in how we feel like we really are, and not be this like constant following every single trend. But we knew to get noticed by bigger labels, we were going to have to step it up and just be more visible, have more going on, more video content. And that's what we did with our last album, was really took the videos to the next level. And Susan Hunt, who does most of our videos, is like another band member to us. And so that has always helped us aesthetically, be as best as we can be. And I think that really helped get that label's attention. And as far as like advice, it's just you got to keep grinding, and we're still grinding. Every single day, it's like, what can we do better? And that's really the biggest piece of advice, is just keep existing, keep moving.
Every band, keep existing. We need that on a shirt. Keep existing. I please do me a favor, separately from all of this, and make sure I have Susan's like a link to her stuff, so we can help promote her, or Liz can send it through to me. Shout out to Earsplit PR. Liz can send it through to me. And yeah, I mean, I think that's like a big mystery of how bands level up. And you put it so well, being consistent is literally everything, right? I think that's what impresses labels, people I know who have gotten big deals. Part and part do well, make good music, have a story, have an arc about you, have something compelling, but also be consistent. I think the inconsistency of most of us as band dudes or band people, band folks, just the lifestyle of a musician makes us sometimes, look or seem stereotypically unreliable. But like, if you could, being reliable is literally the job one.
Yeah, just showing up, just half the battle.
Right. The best ability is availability.
I love it.
Sports.
The best nation is donation. Sports. But yes, the best ability. That's a great quote. I forgot who said it, but I've heard it a lot.
John Madden.
Oh yeah. All right. Oh, turkey legs. Anyway, I missed that guy. This definitely feels like a level up. Just out of curiosity, what was the sort of arc like in terms of the timeline for writing the record? But just in general, do these songs take shape mostly in the run up to this year or earlier than that?
I think that was one thing that we may have benefited from, having the whole COVID situation of like, we weren't able to tour as much as we wanted for our previous record. We did a bunch of live streams, which were, it was nice. It was fun to be able to do, but it's not anything like touring, preparing for tour, that kind of thing. And I think that kind of gave us maybe just more time to kind of woodshed and like share riffs and kind of not worry about being show ready and like, fuck it, I'm going to go in and just riff all night and kind of keep working on songs. And then, I think once it was time to kind of, hey, I think, I don't remember when, I guess we signed with Monarch almost a year ago. It was like June, July, almost August. And then, it was around then. And I think the turnaround time to actually get in the studio was really short of like, all right, well, we need to go in and bang it out. Let's get as much pre-production done and figure out what songs we're going to do, how we're going to do them, so we can go in and be prepared and give the best songs that we have. So I don't think it was really that much time of mining the ideas.
A lot of structures were written over that, the course of that year. A lot of riffs were there, riffs to be had. And, but yeah, the actual recording of the record and as far as like tracking vocals and finalizing, it was really like a couple months. A lot of lyrics were written then as well. And it was cool. It was a different kind of pressure than we weren't used to, because we do a lot, DIY and try to do as much tracking as we can in our studio, so we're not rushed and don't have some constraint. And this time we had a little bit more of a deadline and a little bit more, a little less time on the clock, if you want to keep the football analogies going.
Shot clock was running out.
Right on. And that actually is a good segue to my next question, which is, what is, just again, I want to illuminate this for those watching that may see you guys as a success story they can emulate. So I appreciate you for your patience on this topic, but I wanted to ask, like, what's like for you, what was like the first noticeable difference being an unsigned DIY band and now I'm on a label with something to look forward to, a future release? Does there come with certain things that you weren't expecting? Was there something pleasantly surprising? Anything like that, I'd love to hear about.
Like you were saying, you mentioned a bunch of those bands that are on the label, Enterprise or who else? The Crowbar. I mean, there's a bunch of them that were like
Ace Frehley.
Like, yeah, we felt like immediately like we had peers and we were somewhere where we belonged for once. Our last label was great too, Blues Funeral, and it allowed us a lot of freedom to do what we wanted with that record. But this time around, it was like, okay, we're stepping it up. We're in a different tier now, and got to keep pushing, because now we're at the lowest rung of the ladder in on the label as well. We got to keep proving ourselves and keep improving. So. But it feels good. It feels good to have a home. The team is great. They're behind us. They believe in the music, and that's rewarding,
Yeah, as different as it is, it also feels the same, because the only pressure is coming from ourselves. Nobody's like, you need a hit. We need, it needs to be a record of singles. It's like we're still given the freedom to make the music we want to make, and that was really excellent after signing, of like, hey, you guys go in the studio and you make the songs you make. We're not going to tell you what to do, which was great.
Yeah, that's amazing and actually refreshing to hear, because I'm sure at the higher levels that is not always the case. And shout out to Blues Funeral. They're great label. Shout out to all those folks. I just got the new Acid Witch from them, so I'm a fan. One more question, and then we'll break off into a little track by track rundown. But I also wanted to ask, like, obviously in terms of forecasting, the vinyl shortage, there's so much adversity right now in the business, right? Does it ever, even at this level, does it give you pause, like some of my plans and wishes and dreams may not come true because just the world is so chaotic right now and unstable financially?
No, I think it makes you want to be let's be smart about what we're doing with our limited resources. You know what I mean? Like so many times, like, man, can we do this tour? Can we make these vinyl, whatever it is? Can we pay for the studio time of whatever it is? Like, yeah, you're never going to have enough. You got to just do it, and we didn't start playing music because we thought it was a good idea. We started playing music because, like, this is what we want to do. So, like, we just try and be as smart as we can with whatever decision, but there's, I don't think it's ever been like, we can't afford to put out a record or to practice, or, I mean, I hope that day doesn't come. Like you said, you kind of can't forecast that, but yeah, just being efficient with the resources we have, I think.
And that's kind of another benefit of being on a label like Monarch, is that, the turnaround was a little shorter. I'm sure if we pressed vinyl ourselves, it would have taken 6 months instead of 3 or 4. So
fair enough. I do want to say that I think actually the release planning was very good for you guys. I'm seeing a shorter, even for the biggest bands in the world, a shorter release time plan, but you guys, I think, had like an appropriate amount of time to warm people up for a single announcement, full record announcement, artwork, videos. I think you guys did it. I still think the traditional thing works, especially for underground music, because we're just inert in that life. Is like the lifestyle we want. We want it kind of doled out to us as fans and consumers. But I do appreciate that some bands and some labels are just shortening that timeline. That's just what works for them, and that's cool. No disrespect, but it's also like you're asking a lot of a band to do press, go, maybe get on a tour, plan, tours are booked and planned, merch, bundles, vinyl. It's like chaos, right? So it's a little scary. It's scary to think as an outsider. I can't imagine being in a band right now.
For sure. I mean, if you're a bigger band and you have that luxury to just blast it out there, you're cutting through a lot of the noise. There's so many bands coming out at any one time. For a band like us, I think it's still good to have that slow burn.
Right on. I get that totally. So let's jump into the track by track, and I'll shout out the track names, and you guys can each give a little feedback on the song, anything you want to share. So the album opens up with "Death Is the Beginning."
Blast beats.
Medium tempo blast beats.
Yeah. Yeah, I think once that song came together, because I think when I came up with the original riff, I think Phil was like, "Can you even play that?" It was like, I'll get it, dude. And eventually, yeah, it was really difficult to play. A lot of the times, if I come up with a riff, it takes me a while to actually be able to play it and be like, "All right, we can do this as a song every night." But that was really exciting once the music came together, and then once the vocals came through, it was like, man, this can be I really enjoy that song, and I enjoy playing it.
Likewise.
I highly recommend this opening track as an alarm clock song for people's cell phones, because I'm a bad sleeper and it's jarring when it kicks in. So I want just a recommendation for everybody out there. Track number 2 is Paramnesia, which I love that name.
So Paramnesia is the next single coming out, and it's the perfect sort of sister song to Death Is the Beginning, and a little bit different as far as the tempos, and definitely sludgier in a lot of ways, and really just a powerful song, and sort of encapsulates what the record is about theme wise. I guess it's touching on this idea of living multiple lives, feeling like you've lived multiple lives. And the video is awesome. Can't wait to show everyone.
Oh, we cannot wait. Again, I said this offline. The third track is actually my favorite track on the record. It's Pale Eyes. It's another brutal banger.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That one, I think that was the meat and potatoes of it. I think that's been around for a while. And for some reason, it just, never really fleshed it out. I don't know. It never checked the boxes. I don't know. It never made the cut, and I think we kind of forgot about it and then came back to it. It was like, wait, this thing rules. And again, I think a lot of it always comes to like, what are the vocals going to do that make it kind of step it up a notch? And then once we got the chorus to it, and it just, it's like, I don't know, it's under 3 minutes. It's kind of different for us. It's one of those things that kind of like, this is right in our wheelhouse, but it's so different at the same time. So that was really exciting once we got that song in the mix too.
That's exactly right. It's so different. I think that's what captivates me about the track. I know obviously the rest of the album is awesome also, but that track is so immediate and severe. I love it. It's like, oh, this is definitely different than anything you guys have done. So
quit fucking around, get to the point.
That's it, man. That's it. Nice and short. These are all pretty short songs. There's nothing very epically slow or long on here, even when you go through some changes, which I really also dig as a choice. Good stuff. What a Way to Go is the 4th track.
Yeah, What a Way to Go was another jam that was pretty much complete early on. Another one that's pretty short, and those two songs kind of felt good back to back, and a little bit more straightforward for us. A lot of times we're getting into different time signatures or tempos, and this one just had that pulse like the whole way through. It's a good driving track, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's nothing comfortable about it, but it's almost like feel good rock and roll. That's our version of if we could have like a Bob Seger jump in on part of a song, I'd have him be on that. Night Moves.
There you go. Oh, dude. Let me tell you about some Seeger. I know a lot of people know Old Time Rock and Roll, but he has many more Many more. He gave that song away because he thought it sucked, by the way. And he has no.
He has so many great songs.
He gets no money for that song. He gave it to the studio guys at Muscle Shoals, and he didn't take a penny. It's crazy. The music business is crazy. And my sympathies on that. But anyway, Hollow Visions is the next one.
Hollow Visions was a struggle. If I recall, it has some weird timing stuff that was tricky to write vocals over that were, that felt good, and so, but it's another one where like, and we've had songs like this in the past where you stick with it, something's there, and it's super hooky but also very heavy, I guess maybe in like a Deftones kind of vein, or maybe even shoegazy at times. So it's we knew we had to stick with it, and then once we got to the 11th hour with it, it started to take shape, and I feel like it's one of the stronger tracks on the record.
It's one of those. A lot of times, I'll feel really strong, and Phil will be like, I don't know, it needs more work. And then it went the other way. We're like, all right, we finally got it. Phil's like, yeah, I think that, like the back and forth, I think, is kind of what kept the song alive to really push it over the top. And yeah, after listening to it when we were done, I was like, oh shit, this is actually a really good song. I like it a lot. I'm glad we didn't throw it away.
And I think that's the thing about becoming a veteran band as you advance in time spent together and chemistry and things, is learning when to self-edit and not to throw things away. I think older bands forget about self-editing and don't throw anything away, but I just think like a hungry band, a rising band, knows when to keep a riff and a part. So that's cool, man.
The end part is one of my favorite payoff riffs. It's like, I think that's something we always enjoy doing, is like, let's get through a story and kind of this whole feeling, and then you get to the end and it puts the bow on the package for you. Like, give me the big old payoff riff and send you home.
I like that. That sounds great.
Me too.
The next track is Flesh and Blood.
It's Phil's song. Phil wrote it.
We all wrote it.
We all wrote it.
I think you wrote the hook kind of, and in the bridge. So I'm trying to also scratch my itch with guitar. It's something, I have a lot of guitar riffs sitting around that I'd love to see the light of day. And Justin's a guitarist and drummer, and I feel like, yeah, we can always just bounce ideas back and forth between each other, and I'm never opposed to him sitting down on the drums either. Like, I trust his drum opinions. So that song was like, again, it still feels collaborative to me, and I like the track a lot. It's hope to do more of it.
Right on. The title track is track number 7.
Desiderium.
I think that was yeah. I was like, wait, that was paramnesia. No, I think that was that was another like difficult song. I think there was so many riffs going into it, and it was really like, how do we get the best song out of it? Like, there were some other cooler riffs that were going with it, but like, it just didn't fit for a song, and it ended up getting really lengthy. And like, I think it was one of those things of like, let's pare it down and not make it simpler, but let's make it just more song centric. And I think it happened. It feels really quirky. I wouldn't say it's a departure, but it feels like we're expanding our territory. And that's one I can't wait to play live, especially having a second guitar player. I think it's one that will really benefit from having the expanded sound for sure.
Definitely. It's a crusher. The next to last track is Remnants.
Also, Remnants is really fun to play live. And again, I think once we got the second guitar in the mix, it was like, a different ball game. That the opening riff obviously is kind of quick and triplet bass, and then it gets into this sludgy, slow double bass groove, and it just feels awesome when there's two guitars going. So, and same with the last track, Desiderium. I feel like Justin said, I think adding another guitarist in Chris Tripot, who joined the band, has been eye opening. It's like it really helps there's always two parts going on. So a lot of times we were looping before, and I think, you know, these songs are all examples of like when there's two guitars in the mix, and just another layer in general. I think it just adds so much. So yeah, fun track to play live, and you'll definitely see us play it if you come and see us.
Counting on it. That's awesome. And then the final track of the album is The Way Out.
It's weird. Yeah, it's up to, I mean, it was a really personal song to write lyrically to, that I felt like I really kind of had to just grab by the horns and do it, you know, almost tell it my own story and kind of just, you know, fucking go all the way. And, you know, that again, it's been one that's really benefited from having the second guitar, especially towards the end. And it's just, it's a song where there's a lot of space to it, where some of these other songs like Remnants is so dense and there's not a lot of room for interpretation. It's got to be played on the nose, where this is like a lot of space in it. And I feel like that's what makes that song work. You know, it's a delicate dance, you know, it's heavy, but it's still, it's emotional. And again, I think what makes this record tick for me is it's expanding those boundaries that we've had on other records. And it's feels like new territory, but still very familiar at the same time, you know, and it just feels genuine.
Right on. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. And yeah, it's a
Single tear.
It's a very poignant ender. You know, it's like it ends on a good, like at a good place. Like I said, the album kind of has a journey to it. I think track listing is still kind of important to me as an album appreciator and listener,
Super.
not just as a reviewer. I know people are very focused on singles right now, but not every band is a singles band. But you guys have another video and singles coming out too, leading up to this. So very exciting times. Just as a last thing to end off, we're at the halfway point of the year. So I wanted to know, are there any new albums that you're listening to, or plans for the tour bus and tour van listening? You know, music choices, anything floating your boat this first half of 23?
Shit.
Oh man.
Or nothing.
It's hard. It's hard. You know, I gotta be honest. It's hard, man. Like, there's so much shit that comes out that I'm just like, there's so much music that comes out at any one time. I know I'm listening to new music. I just can't think of anything off the top of my head. I have been revisiting the Obscene remaster, but that album's like, you know, how old? So, trying to think what else. Justin, you got anything?
I'm kind of the same way. I'm usually like a year and a half to 2 years after the record comes out is when I finally get to it. And I try not to listen to anybody's opinion, you know, because that's fine. I've been blasting the new Queens of the Stone Age record. The first single I didn't like, and then I loved it. I was like, all right, this, you know, and that's how it always ends up, especially the last few records. I put it on, I'm like, not impressed. And then I listened to it 2 or 3 more times. I'm like, holy shit, this is great. So, you know, and I try to wait to listen to a record until it's all the way out. You know, I want to take the whole thing in and not just like listen to that one single and compare everything to the one single. I was just listening to the whole thing yesterday or the day before, putting merch together. I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. I think it's a great bounce back. I thought Villains was pretty good. I liked it a lot, but I feel like this one kind of takes the last 3 records and wraps them up pretty nicely.
And I think that's what he intended, actually. And I thought it was,
and I had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't. No one did. I don't think he said anything, and then it just like,
oh,
it's a story. But we gave it a pretty high review, and I thought it was a grower. And I think Troy is the secret weapon of that band anyway. Anything that dude puts his little sprinkle on is always fire. But yeah, good for them. Congrats to them. I'm sure it's going to wind up on all the lists and things. But you know, you can't go wrong with going back to Meshuggah. I'm still playing that record from last year a lot, often. So I really enjoyed Immutable.
I really want to check out the new Ocean as well. Immutable is
so
great.
good.
But, yeah. The new Ocean's good.
It's so good. It's unfair how good it is. It's so unfair.
Cool.
They're so good. What's happening is they're ruining it. They're spoiling me as a fan, just as independently as a fan, because like they always put out like extra tracks or a whole instrumental album. So now I'm fiending for that whole experience. They did it like a few records in a row. It's the same thing with Alcest. If you give the fans a high bar, you're always gonna have to reach it, and they do, but it's it's tough. But in any case, this has been our half year recap with the guys. But Just congratulations again, just having seen the band from the early days to now, and followed you guys in your other projects. Like Chris is had a reputation already. So, congrats on this. Congrats on just the signing and this new record. Desiderium's coming out this summer on Monarch Heavy, and just super stoked for you guys. And I do look forward to seeing you on tour. And I will be taking notes from this interview and seeing if these new songs pop up in the set list.
Thanks, man.
Dude.
Really appreciate it. Much
Thanks,
appreciate
sir.
it, Keith.